Hey, accelerated math kids, here's the answer key for your homework. Number 1 was in the video, but you needed to go back and write italicized P and then in parentheses blue, because it said the probability of landing on blue is the same as the fraction 1/2. It cannot be 4/8. I will mark that wrong. 1/2 equals 0 and 5/10 equals 50%. All right, the second one I didn't do for you, so let's look back at the spinner. There are 8 total sections, only one of them is pink, so my numerator should be 1. So 1 pink out of 8 total outcomes is the same as the fraction 1/8. That can't be simplified, so I can go right down to saying capitalized, italicized P, probability, and then of pink. Probability of pink equals the fraction 1/8, which is the same as the decimal 0 and 125 thousandths, which is the same as the percent 12.5%. All right, I'm going to italicize that. You need all of this on your worksheet to get credit for that problem. Okay, number 3 I did in the former video. Make sure that you have the italicized part right there on your page. Okay, moving on to the next page with all the shapes. So the very first thing you needed was the number of total shapes. I will highlight the answer in pink. You needed 25 total shapes because that's a 5 by 5 array on the right side. All right, the next question says, I'm going to zoom in kind of slow. If you were to select one shape at random from the array, what is the probability it will be a circle? So we know there are 25 total shapes. That's the denominator. Now I need to just figure out how many circles there are. Head on over. You can see I numbered them in blue. There are 8 circles. So I'm going to head on back and put 8 as my numerator. 8 circles, so 8 goes on top, 8 out of 25. All right, that can't be simplified either. 25 only has 3 factors. 1 times 25, that is 2 factors, and 5 times 5, so 5 itself. So 1, 5, and 25. All right, so now I need to write my answer, which would look like this. Capital P, kind of italicize it, the probability of a circle. Probability of selecting a circle equals the fraction 8/25. All right, equals, let's see, 25 times 4 is 100, 8 times 4 is 32, so that's the decimal 0 and 32 hundredths, and that is the percent, 32%. All right, you needed all of this to get credit for this answer, to have the right answer, to get credit for the right answer. All right, if you were to select one shape at random from the array, what shape do you have the greatest probability of selecting? And what is that probability? Well, heading over to the array, what is there the most of? I counted 12 squares. Also, notice how I added the circles, the hearts, and the squares, and got 25 total. It's really easy to miscount. It's really easy, and then everything's wrong, and it just stinks. All right, so I added them together and got 25. So there are 12 squares. So 12 squares is going to go on top. 12 squares is the fraction 12/25. And again, we know that 25 only has 3 factors, 1, 5, and 25. And 5 and 25 aren't factors of 12, so I'm already simplified. So I can write probability of getting a square equals 12/25, right? And 25 times 4 is 100. 12 times 4 is 48, so that's 0 and 48 hundredths. And that is the percent, 48%. Hey, that's just less than half. And I know half of 25 is 12.5. So if exactly half of these shapes were squares, it would be 12.5. And there are only 12 squares, so it's a little bit less than half. That's why our percent was 48%. All right, the last one is my favorite one here. What shape has a 20% chance of being selected? I'm going to circle that percent, and I'm going to think, I could write that as a fraction, as 20 on top of 100. Okay. All right, now here's why I do that. I know that there are 25 total shapes. I'm going to circle that too. There are 25 total shapes. So a total in a fraction would be the denominator. And now I'm going to think, how do I go from 100 to 25? I'd divide by 4. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. So there should be 5 of some shape up on top. And look at that. There are 5 hearts. So the answer is hearts. That came from right there, that number up on top. Because 5 out of 25 are hearts, and 5/25 is equivalent to the fraction 20/100. All right, we're almost done. I did the first problem for you on the bottom. All right, so we have the probability of not 2 equals 5/6 equals 0.83 forever equals 83.3 forever %. Okay, the very last one. If you were to roll the die one time, what is the probability that it will land on an even number? So again, I wrote out all the outcomes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want an even number this time, so I'm going to cross out the odd. So 2, 4, and 6 are left. So there are 3 ways that I can get an even number. So I'm going to write that on top. There are 3 even numbers. All right. So that is the fraction 3/6, which you all know is the fraction 1/2. So for my very final answer, I have the probability of an even number is the fraction 1/2, or 1 to 2, equals the decimal 0 and 5/10, equals 50%. And I'm going to highlight that. This is your last answer on your page. You need to have that on your page for credit. If you have any questions, because I went too quickly, please check my office hours this week. It is Wednesday through Friday from 10:30 to noon. Let me say it one more time. Wednesday through Friday from 10:30 to noon.